What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another video. As you can tell from the title of this video, I'm gonna be STI Drivetrain swapping my WRX. So this is my 2016 WRX. I bought this car 10 years ago, which is crazy to say out loud. I don't even feel that old, but I bought this car at 20 years old, barely any credit, and I've had it since. The car has, I want to say, done me well, but like I haven't had any major catastrophic failure, fingers crossed. With it, I've modified it a bunch. I brought it back to stock because originally I was gonna trade it in to get a GR Corolla. My allocation came in, they damaged it at the dealership. Instead of giving me a discount or instead of fixing it, they decided to send it back to Japan, and I never got my car. So I just decided to keep the WRX and make the WRX better. Part of making the WRX better is STI Drivetrain swapping it. So a lot of people say, oh, why don't you just buy a STI? I already bought the car. And at the time of me buying the car, the STI was $10,000 more than the WRX. Without having any credit, they barely wanted to let me buy this car. So it was just not possible. Since I'm keeping this car, it makes sense to make it better. Part of making it better is the STI Drivetrain swap in it. Well, putting the STI Drivetrain swap in it. And what will fix the issues I have, the number one issue is the shifter. So in the VA chassis WRX, it has a 6-speed, but the 6-speed is controlled like your shifter is through cables. And anybody can tell you it's garbage. It's garbage. There's no other way around it. The only company that really has perfected it is Honda. This transmission is terrible. Not only is the experience horrible, the shifting experience horrible, they're like glass transmissions. They tend to break. I don't want to deal with this trans no more, and especially because mine right now is having a hard time going in gear. So when my shifter broke, I had a short shifter on it, and I don't know what happened in the meantime, all that BS. It just, sometimes it refuses to go in gear unless it's warm. Don't know what that's about. And now it feels like it's on a way of breaking the second time. So I don't want to deal with it. Not to mention it has open diffs. So I got stuck in my driveway when there was snow because the wheel that I could shovel out had no traction. So I don't know if you guys know, open differentials usually send power to the wheel that has the least amount of resistance, which doesn't make any sense. You would want to send power to the wheel that has the most traction. And that's what a limited slip differential does, and that's what I'm putting into the car. So STI Drivetrain has limited slip diffs, and that's definitely a big upgrade. Not to mention it could hold a lot of power if I do want to, you know, throw some power mods back at this car. So the battery has to be disconnected anyway. I guess I don't have to take it out, it just needs to be disconnected. So disconnect the battery. Take this engine cover off, take the intercooler out. Once the intercooler is out, then I'll have access to the starter, the slave, which is a crazy name for it, the bell housing bolts at the top. And then once those bell housing bolts are out at the top, I have the ability to jack the car up and, you know, start working on underneath. And as per usual, I forgot my tripod. So I'm just gonna fast forward till when the intercooler is out and the battery is disconnected. All right, so battery disconnected, intercooler is off. Now it's time to get to the more, I guess, involved portion. So I had to move the engine, so it's a little warm right now, but the slave has to come out. The starter has to come out. This pitch stop mount has to come out. This harness has to come out. And once those 4 things are out, then I could move on to actually getting the bell housing bolts out. Alright, so we're pretty much done up here. Harnesses are off besides the starter solenoid, but I have to get to that from underneath. The pitch stop mount slave, most of the wires for the starter, what else? Some of the bell housing bolts and the top starter bolt. I can't get this starter bolt out because there's no room for my hands, so I have to work on that underneath the car. Other than that, from up here is done. So next I have to get in the car and disconnect the shifter because it's shift cables, so I gotta disconnect the shifter. I want to get that all done, not have to worry about it, so when the car is up in the air, I could get everything done from underneath, and then not have to climb back in the car. These two bolts have to come out in the armrest. I don't know why the camera's not focusing, it's just spazzing out right now, but yeah, those have to come out to take the center console out, just so you can get access to the 4 bolts that you need to remove under here. Alright, so center console is off. There's these 4 12mm bolts that have to come out, and then we can start going underneath. I need to take the exhaust off first. I'm gonna just climb under the car so you guys can see. I did the wiggle check, by the way. It ain't going nowhere. So first thing that needs to happen is the exhaust needs to come off. So up there is the start of the J-pipe, where you don't have to disconnect it from the back of the turbo. So you take that off. This needs to come off, as well as this back section. I think I can get away with leaving this section on, like the cat back section, because what I really need access to is the diff, the axles, this like I don't want to say like cross member, but so to speak, for the diff, drive shaft, nuts, carrier bearing right there, this heat shield. So what I'm gonna do is work on getting that portion of the J-pipe off first, then this portion, the center portion, because that's exactly where the trans is. Alright, so I have a dilemma. If I could put it on screen, I will. So the J-pipe is 2 pieces. The piece that bolts to the back of the turbo, and then it's a little elbow, and then there's a second piece that holds the resonator that bolts up to the catback. So that second piece that bolts to the elbow, there's 2 nuts that are on it. One of it is rusted, so I don't know if I want to mess with it, because if I get it off, I won't be able to get it back on, and if it breaks, it'll be worse. So I'm gonna try to avoid it if I can. Alright, so I also forgot to mention I have the 2018 Brembos for the STI that I bought for my WRX. These are 6-piston calipers. I'm gonna be putting those on the car too. So the front basically needs to be fully disassembled, because I have a roll center correction kit coming, and that'll help adjust the, I guess, steering, because when I lower the car, it darts all over the place, and I realize with the wheel centered, I have toe out on just one of the wheels, which is weird. I don't know how that happened, but so that gets rid of that. And also when you hit bumps, the steering wants to do different things, so that'll correct that as well. So I'm basically gonna be taking off the calipers, the rotors, the axle nut, the outer tie rods, the ball joint, all of that stuff has to come off, because once I get the roll center correction kit, I'm throwing that back in, the brakes on, axles in, all of that will be done. You could absolutely tell this did not come from a Northeastern car, because if you look at this knuckle and compare it to my knuckle, this John damn near looks new. So I got some PB Blaster. Hit this, let it sit, and hopefully I'm able to get this ball joint out. If I can, I'll do the same thing with the other side. If those come out easy, it's easy swap. Not to mention, this dust shield is for the 2018 brakes, so it makes sense for me to take them off. Well, it's easier for me to just put this on the car, this whole assembly on the car, rather than disassembling this just to put it on the car. So fingers crossed, man. I don't know how much further I can open this without this ball joint coming out, because it is not coming out at all. This sucks, not even gonna lie to you. This sucks to do. I use hella PB Blaster, got this thick chisel, put it in there, open it up. Chisel can't go any further without actually hitting the ball joint, and that defeats the purpose. I just want to spread it. So yeah, I don't know how much further I'm supposed to go with this without the ball joint coming out, but that's a decent gap compared to where it was when it was tightened. So I don't know, and this ball joint is not even budging. We'll see if I can continue and figure it out. Okay, progress update. Suspension on the driver's side front has been fully disassembled. I definitely should replace the inner tie rod. I ain't gonna do it, but I should, because the way you know it's good or bad is, you see that is the limp. Usually if you put it in a specific position, it's supposed to hold it, but it doesn't. Do I care? Not really. I also don't have the tool, nor do I have the part to do it. So I really don't want to do that. Anyway, I'm gonna go and do the same exact thing to this other side. Again, YouTube magic. All right, so this side looks just like the other side. I might have to take these knuckles somewhere for them to do this, because I don't think I could do it myself. What I'm gonna be working on next is the rear. So I'm gonna have to disassemble the rear similar to the front, because I need the dust shields for the rotors, because the back brakes that I have right now are single piston and the Brembos are dual piston, so the rotor is bigger. Right, so right now I'm at a standstill because this toe arm, it's not coming out. So I'm just gonna unbolt it from there. As I was sitting here, unfortunately I just ordered toe arms. I hate the fact that I had to, but it's whatever. I'm gonna try to get this ball joint off, and then I'm gonna get out of here. I was gonna do the other side, but I've been here all day. I'm not trying to be here no more. So actually I might not even do this. I might just leave it for the next time, just clean up, put whatever I'm gonna use underneath the car, and then just call it a day. Right, continuing where we left off. You see the front is completely disassembled. I need to get the knuckles back with the ball joints removed. Also the cones off the ball joints. Move it onto the back. I disassembled the rear completely. I just need to remove the rest of the brackets for this e-brake cable. Normally when you do this STI drivetrain swap, you don't have to deal with any of this. You just remove the axle with the diff. But since I'm going with the 2018 STI Brembos, which are bigger than the WRX brakes, I have to use the brake dust shield in order for that to work. A lot of people just cut this, but I got the knuckles with the whole STI drivetrain swap, so it doesn't make sense for me not to use them, and it makes it easier for me, if I'm being honest. And I don't like the cut shield look. I'd rather have an OEM since I already have it. Alright, diff is out. This other axle was not coming out, like the driver's side axle came out, so I mean that's whatever, it's not even a big deal. Also, this stud came out, so I hit it with some PB Blaster, and I'm gonna try to see if I can get the nut off. Pause, because for the STI diff it has 2 studs and I need that other nut. Okay, so I got the nut off. Hey yo, I got it off. I used some heat, and I was just thinking, since I have the diff here and no diff in the car, no axles in the car, it makes sense for me to just throw the diff in and continue, because I'm legit not waiting on anything to get this diff in. So that's what I'm gonna do. I also noticed a plug down here, and I don't know what that's for, if I'm being honest. I might have to do some research. If I figure out what it is, I'll put it on the screen. If not, if somebody could put it down in the comments, because I really do not know. Anyway, I'm gonna throw this on the jack it up, get it in the car. That way I don't have to worry about doing a diff. For the axles, I'll just put the axles in before I put the knuckles back on. So just to update the camera, both sides are identical. Driver, passenger side, rear, fully disassembled. I just need to get those toe arms in, and once those come in the mail, that's the first thing I'll do. I'll line them up, ballpark them pretty much, get those in. I'm thinking about getting the axle, just throwing the axles in. And I was like debating on whether or not if I should just try to throw everything back together besides those toe arms, because I pretty much can, and maybe leave everything loose. I don't know, but if I do that, toe arms, and I have the lower control arms ready, that'll be it for the back. I just need to work on getting the transmission out. Alright, so before I put these in, you can see that the STI axles are thicker, like a lot thicker. Clearly this is the STI, this is the WRX. No wonder why I could put so much power down. I'm not saying this is the beefiest of axles, but I know plenty of people who are on stock drivetrains for the STI and making good power. So let's get these axles in. Alright, I'm not even gonna hold you. I gotta do better with these YouTube videos. Anyway, the rear is pretty much back together. So as you can see, knuckle is in, 18 STI brake shield, all the suspension components are back in. They're not fully tightened yet. I will be doing that when the car is on the, well, not on the ground, but on something, so it's held on its regular weight. That's when you're supposed to tighten your suspension, because if you tighten it with it in the air, it's going to be binding because it thinks, or the rubber is set at the placement that you tightened it. So this is what the both sides look like. What I can do, and I was just thinking about it, I could just throw the rotor and the brakes on, but I don't have time for that today. As far as the transmission, it's still in the car. I don't know how to get that out. I used some PB Blaster on it to see if the dowels will release it. I hit it with some heat, didn't do anything. So I think the next time I come back to the shop, I'm gonna hit it with some, that'll be the main focus because everything else is done. So I gotta hit it with some heat again, both sides, and then try to pry both sides at the same time, see if I can get it off. I don't know if that's gonna be possible, but we'll see what happens. As far as, oh, also in the rear, I put the adjustable lower control arms. So they have this eccentric bolt right here. So you can add or take away some camber.
The next day.
All right, back at the shop. So I got off work and I was gonna try to pick up a rear main seal from my local Subaru parts place. Homeboy tried to charge me double for a rear main seal. I went online and there was another place in Jersey and I just picked it up for like 20 bucks. I don't know what that's about, but whatever. I got the rear main seal and I figured I might as well get it because I'm taking the trans off, do it one time. This setup has been bolted together for 10 years, unopened. So I'd rather just do it and not have to worry about it than do it and then maybe 5 years later I'm getting a rear main seal leak and I'll be pissed off. So at least I know at the minimum the rear main seal holds for 10 years. So I just got the trans off, believe it or not. What that required was me hammering it with a hammer. Hammered it. I was able to get a little gap. I used a flathead screwdriver, lightly tapped it in until, you know, it was more of a gap. And then I basically just pried around it until I could get a gap big enough for a pry bar. Put the pry bar in. You can tell it was crazy seized because all you hear is cracking noise. Like, I was like, damn, bro, I thought I broke something, but it was the metal dowels against the aluminum. That is not what I wanted to happen, but it happened. All right. That gave me more issues than it should have, if I'm being honest. But if you look at the trans like this, right, it should be taking up your whole screen if it's full screen. Look how crazy or drastic the bell housing change is. Like, this is the bell housing and then it drops down to the skinny trans, right? And you come over to the STI trans and let me move this box a little bit and it's the complete opposite. It's thick from the bell housing all the way back. So me getting this trans in is going to be difficult. What I think I might do is I think I might try to put the shifter on first. Only because I don't know how I'm gonna be able to do that and have this up at the same time. So, oh man, this was a lot. This was definitely a lot. Let's keep going though. Right, I might have mentioned this before, but I got a lightweight clutch. Lightweight flywheel. And I guess the reason why I did this was because there's rev hang on the WRX. Not a huge fan of that. And I got a new clutch. So obviously this is for an STI, and yeah, this is for an STI because I have the STI trans. What I'm not a fan of is it doesn't come with any hardware. I don't know if it said that on the website. I wasn't paying attention. That's not their fault, that's my fault. But yeah, it doesn't come with any hardware. So I'm just gonna reuse the hardware that I already have, because I have an OEM STI clutch that I was given with the drivetrain swap. So I'm gonna just use that hardware for the outside of the pressure plate, and then I'm gonna use the OEM WRX flywheel bolts with Loctite on the flywheel. A lot of people would say, oh, why didn't you just get new flywheel bolts? I overthought it, if I'm being honest with you. I completely didn't even think about it. And I also don't care enough to get new ones. I don't want to wait for them. Plus, putting Loctite on them, it's not going to make a difference. Make sure they're Loctite and it's torqued down to spec, and you should be fine. Alright, since we got the clutch out, we're going to inspect it together. Or since I got the clutch out. So, it looks like, honestly, it doesn't look that bad for 10 years, if I'm being honest with you. Like, it looks like it was getting closer to these rivets. But still does not look bad, if I'm being honest. No heat marks in the actual pressure plate. On the reverse side of the clutch disc itself, looks exactly the same. So I'm gonna say that is a pretty good success. This clutch definitely could have lasted me more years, but you know, it's time to replace this trans. And this is the flywheel, same thing, even where no heat marks. Looks like the pilot bushing is in the actual flywheel, which is pretty cool. I didn't even check to see if that's the same on the STI clutch. More than likely it is. But anyway, gotta get that flywheel cleaned. Actually, gotta do the rear main seal, forgot about that. Right, pilot bushing or bearing is in. Flywheel has been cleaned. It's about to go in with the hardware. I have my Loctite. I know people usually use red. I'm gonna use blue. Torque it down to 55 foot-pounds as recommended, and then I'm gonna get the clutch and pressure plate on. All right, so I ran into an issue. The issue is this plate interferes with the clutch. So like it interferes with the pressure plate. So the pressure plate won't go on because this metal plate thing is here. And unfortunately, I don't have a tool that'll get in there and get that bolt off, which means ultimately I'm gonna have to cut it. I already had the angle grinder out. I just don't want to nick the flywheel while doing it, but this is super annoying. If there was any other way that I can get it out, I would. I'm gonna try a wrench, but I don't think the wrench will give me enough room. Well, I don't think there's enough room for the wrench. So it looks like it's just the 2 bolts, but I don't know. I'll update you when I find out. Alright, so obviously I'm underneath the car, and I was looking at this. I don't know if it's this particular one, but see how much movement there is in this? I'm not used to that. Because there's so much movement, I can legit like raise the disc, lower the disc. So it doesn't give me much confidence that it's actually centered. I have another one that I bought. Let me see if that one is any better. Since it has so much movement, I think the solution would be to cut down this like snout. If that doesn't work, I have a second one that's brand new that I could just use, but I think that's gonna be the way I can get rid of that issue. Alright, so I took a little bit off. Let's see if that makes a difference. Okay, what I did didn't matter because it's not bottoming out here, it's bottoming out here. And I just put this in the OEM clutch over there, and it does the same exact thing. So I don't know why that's a thing, but I guess it's fine. It rubs me the wrong way because it makes me feel like getting the trans in is going to be way more difficult if it doesn't go in perfect, and I don't want to deal with that. So I'm hoping this works out. Alright, so the whole flywheel, clutch, pressure plate is on. I Loctited those bolts as well. I'm debating on if I want to try and get the trans in tonight. Like, I know that joint is heavy because I lifted it out of the Sequoia. So just imagine I'm trying to do that joint on my back. I don't know about all that. I don't know. I think ultimately I'm gonna try it. Am I gonna get it in? More than likely not. But I'm gonna try to see if I can bring it over here, get the jack under, and then try to see if I can make it happen. If I'm being honest with you, I do not foresee it going in tonight. So I'll keep the camera updated. One thing I just realized is, look at this trans now. Look how flimsy that is. I was always wondering why everybody was like, one of the first things you need to do is trans mount. Look at that. That's crazy. And then you come over to the STI. This is OEM mount too. Like, it moves, has some play, but it don't got that. What the hell is that? Yeah, that's crazy. Alright, so I'm back at the shop and I have an idea. If it works, I'm a genius. If it doesn't, then it doesn't work. Anyway, so this is a throwout bearing, right? In order to get the throwout bearing on the clutch fork, I have to remove this bolt, right? I can't remove this bolt because I don't have this tool. Why didn't I go out and buy it? I don't know. So what I'm gonna do is, I took a bolt with a nut that fits directly in here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tighten this bottom nut to the top nut and then use the bolt to remove it. I don't know if this is gonna work. I hope it does work. If it does work, again, I'm a genius. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. I don't even know if I'm gonna add it in the video if it doesn't work, but this is what it looks like. I'm gonna tighten these two together, see if I can get it out. Alright, that goes in here. Oh shit, and it works. That was a finesse, man. Not even gonna lie. It's out. Dope. Alright, it's out. So I want to clean this up, grease it up before I put it back. I already put some grease on the splines and where the throwout bearing sits. Not too much, but just enough. That way it could be smooth and I don't have to worry about it. So I'm gonna do that now, and then I'll be able to reassemble everything. All right, so with the trans on this little dolly thing, it won't be able to get underneath the car. I don't know if you can tell, it's taller than the car. I'm gonna try to reposition it so I can roll it under the car instead of me having to drag it. I don't want to damage anything, don't want to dent the pan, the trans pan or whatever. I don't want to damage anything. This wasn't cheap. So I'm gonna try to reposition it, get it under better. If I can't, what I will do is, I do have a big piece of cardboard. I'll lay the cardboard down and I'll just try to drag the cardboard underneath instead of, you know, trying to drag the trans. You know, fingers crossed I get this. I mean, if you guys are watching this video, I did get it, but fingers crossed without injury. This is how close I am. So super close. I just have no way to pull it towards the engine. I'm gonna try to use the jack. I just don't want it to fall off the jack. So close. Like, you can't see, but the studs are lined up towards the bottom. So if I can get it on the studs and move the bigger jack to the back, it'll make it easier for me to get in. All right, so an update of where I'm at. The transmission is in. It is bolted down. I still got a lot of work to do. Like, I gotta put the starter in, but I don't know, like the wire's a little fucked up and I don't know the correct orientation of that, because the starter, the STI starter is different than the WRX starter. So like, as you can tell, it's the STI starter. The WRX starter is a lot smaller. So there's that. I then put the trans mount in. I don't have enough time. I gotta leave. I gotta work in the morning. And I don't feel like cleaning this up either, so I'm not going to. And I'm just gonna come back, I guess, after work tomorrow. See if I can hopefully finalize this whole thing. See ya tomorrow. All right, so it's not tomorrow, it's probably like a few days later. And I did a lot of stuff off camera because I was starting to get really frustrated with some of the stuff that was happening. One thing that was happening, the trans is I removed the shifter linkage because when I was trying to get the trans in with the shifter linkage in, it wasn't going in. So I removed it, got the trans in, to only realize the shifter linkage won't go in with the trans in. So that kind of pissed me off. I pretty much had to contort myself and loosen everything that I could without actually pulling the trans back out. Push it over with my foot just to get the top bolt in, and I was able to get it in from there. So as far as the shifter, that's done. Drive shaft is in. There was like a little shield that protects the drive shaft. That's in. The exhaust is bolted down. I am running into an issue with this OEM like portion of the exhaust. It's usually where it bolts up to the cross member. That I'm having an issue with. I think I might just cut it out because I don't want it to vibrate on the metal, like metal hitting metal and the ding 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 ding. I don't want to hear that. So that's done. Everything in the back is pretty much bolted up except for some of the suspension parts, and I have to do that on the ground. The front is next. So the front is fairly simple. What needs to happen though is I need to remove this cone off of both of the ball joints for the front, and I gotta take this wheel bearing and put it in another one of the knuckles, or the other knuckle. And the reason for that being is when I had a mechanic shop remove the remove the ball joint, he damaged the bearing. So the ABS sensor is gonna trigger a fault. So I gotta try to see if I could do that. I feel like the wheel bearing portion of it is not that bad because I had to replace this wheel bearing anyways. So take that same wheel bearing, put it in the other knuckle, try to get these cones off, then I could put the front suspension back on. Okay, so I just used heat and legit it just popped off. I don't know why I didn't do that a long time ago, you know? Like, whenever you see somebody working with heat and stuff, there's always a reason. I usually never do try like some penetrating oil or something, but yo, this heat joint works. I'm impressed. Okay, and again, with some heat, I was able to get the wheel bearing out of that knuckle over there and put it in this one. No problem. Crazy. I also used a wire wheel to clean the inside of here and clean the surface of the actual wheel bearing, so when I was putting it in, it wouldn't be binding or anything. Also, I got the roll center correction ball joint in. Now we're gonna throw it on the car, and I'm just gonna seat it in the lower control arm and then bolt it up and then go from there. Let's see. So eager to get all of this stuff done, I forgot the main reason why I did this to begin with, and that's the drivetrain swap. I forgot to put the axle in. Alright, right now I feel like I wish I had a wider lens, but anyway, this is the wheel on with the calipers and the rotors. It fills out the wheel so much better, it looks so much nicer. Definitely, desperately need a wheel alignment because the toe is going to be all over the place. I hope it's not that bad because I have to drive it to the alignment shop. So I think I'm going to get a wheel alignment at Faction. Just so set it, forget it, don't got to worry about it. And yeah, looks pretty good. Now I'm not a huge fan of these wheels. They don't fit how I want them to fit anyway. I think I want like 5 mil higher offset, so a plus 40 instead of a 35. And the reason for that being is I want it to sink in a little bit more. Right now it pokes, like because of the tires, it pokes too much. And I want to run 265 35 square. And in order for me to achieve that, I will need a little bit higher offset. I know people run plus 38, but I'd rather just plus 40 and call it a day. I have an idea for that I might make a video on, but let's just continue. Alright, so the brakes are on all 4 corners. The lines are tight. The clutch master is in. And that line is tight too. Slave is in as well. So I'm gonna use this power bleeder to bleed the entire brake system. So the brakes and the clutch are through the main master cylinder. It just kind of like comes off into the actual clutch master, and that's what goes to the sleeve. So with this power bleeder, I should be able to bleed the brakes and the clutch. All right, so quick update before I peel off. So I got more brake fluid, try to bleed the system. The clutch pedal still feels like garbage. I don't know how to fix that. Also, I can't tell if there's air coming out because I don't have clear hose. So I'll try and get clear hose. I thought I had clear hose. I had clear hose in a water bottle here. Don't know where it is. Also, there was a brake bleeder kit here, and it's not here anymore, so I don't know where that is either. But I got some new brake pads. They're on the way. I think they should be here Friday. Today's Wednesday. I'll put those in. Brake pads. The shifter is in. The shifter feels good. From a WRX shifter to the STI shifter, huge difference. It feels like it has a short throw in it, which is crazy. Also, there's trans fluid in there, diff fluid, so that's done. I did tighten the suspension in the rear. It's gonna be jacked up, so I will absolutely need a wheel alignment. I was gonna get a wheel alignment anyway, but so that's done. But once the clutch is bled, brakes are bled, I think I should be able to drop the car onto the ground. Again, I'm not gonna mess with that alignment like that because I don't know what I'm doing, and it's wind up looking super crazy. So once that's all good, once the DCCD controller comes in, I'm gonna be putting that in. So I'm gonna leave the interior taken apart. Yeah. So thank you for watching this. I know this video hasn't been like the best, and that's because like doing stuff like this, especially on a northeastern car, is very frustrating, and I'd rather not portray that on camera. So just trying to be honest with y'all. So I appreciate y'all for getting this far. We will continue in the next video.